Good afternoon. My name is Lori Stansel. As you know, you're on my page, so you should know who I am by now. But it's been a while, so let me reintroduce myself. I am an international speaker, a published author, content creator, a life strategist, a mentor, a pastor, and a coach, and most of all, a person who loves people, who loves to help people. And so I want to first of all apologize for not being on here. It has been a while since I've been on here. I've had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good things going on. And so, one of the things that I've learned in life is that you may be able to do a lot of things, but it's not wise to take on too much at the same time. And so I've had to balance a lot of things, but hopefully I'll be able to come back on here more often and share with you any things that I'm going to be working on, any events that I'm going to be doing, any offers and services that I'm going to be providing, hoping to be able to do some things next year in 2023. Can't believe that I'm actually talking about 2023. I can't believe that this year is just about over, and that we are like weeks away from Thanksgiving and Christmas. Insane. Absolutely insane. So I hope you guys are doing well. And if you join me later on in the replay, feel free to comment and say hello. Let me know where in the world you're watching from and how your week's been going. My week's been going really, really well. Very productive week. I made some decisions to kind of get myself back on track. This year has been really, really busy. Not as busy as last year, but busy enough. Last year was crazy. Crazy busy. This year is just normal busy, with a little bit of crazy mixed in. But, and so basically, I kind of had to deal with a few things. And so I got off of track with making sure that my health is where it needs to be. And so as we enter into the fall and winter season, and as the weather starts to change and we enter cold and flu season, I thought, you know what, let me make a conscious decision to get back on track with my health and make sure that I am as healthy as I can be. And that's one of the things that I want to start talking about a little bit more. I just don't know how I want to present it, but it is something that I've been thinking about. And that's just how, and on what platform I want to talk about it. I'm not sure if I want to talk about it with my pastor cap, or if I want to talk about it with my life strategist speaker cap. Not sure yet, but I definitely want to address this because I think it's important as people, as human beings that live on this planet and share the resources on this planet, that we start to look at our health differently. Now, I did not mean to talk about this, but you know what? We're just going to go there. We're just going to go with the flow. And we have to start thinking about our health differently. And for me, that for many people, and myself included, that really hit home for me when COVID hit. And even before COVID hit, let me just backtrack. Actually, probably mid 2018 was when I started thinking about it again. I had been doing it a while ago and being healthy, and I kind of fell off for various reasons. But I had some health issues, and so I started thinking about it again. That's typically what happens, right? We have something happen, and then we get on track. But then the problem is, because we are doing it based on an emotion, when that emotion changes, because our emotions change, our feelings change, then we forget about it. So we have to be doing it more than just from an emotional place. It has to be from a critical, logical place of determination, so that if our emotions change, our minds don't change. Anyways, so about 2018, 2019, I started trying to get some things back on track with me physically and health-wise. And then I kind of let it slide. But then when COVID hit, and in the beginning, especially when there was no vaccine or anything like that to take, I really started thinking, okay, you know what? The whole entire world has shifted. The whole entire world is being rearranged and set into a different order. And so I need to shift in my mind. And one of those areas that I had to learn to shift in was my health. And I had to learn how to look at my health in a more totality. Look at my health in more of a totality. Can't get the words out. And more holistically. That's the word I'm looking for. And I had to really shift gears. And so I've been on that journey. I've lost weight, and that really wasn't my goal. Although I did need to lose some weight, that really wasn't my goal. My goal was to be as healthy as I could be, based on the information that I had and the resources that were available to me. And I think that that's really important thing, because we know that because of wealth disparities and things like that, some people don't have access to what other people have access to. And it's like that in the United States, and it's definitely like that in other countries as well. So that's why I make the statement: be as healthy as you can be based on the information that you have and the resources that you have available. We all can do something. My something might look different from your something, but we can all do something. And I think that because we are living in uncertain times, and because things are happening all the time, we need to be able to control what we can control. And we can, for the most part, control what we eat. For the most part. Now, again, there are some exceptions to that. People who are living in drought situations and famine situations cannot control that. But for all those of us who have resources and have means to get things, we can control it. I'm talking to those people. I'm talking to you. And so I want to start talking about that a little bit more, probably next year, really digging into what that means and providing people with information that they may not have, and helping people to become more educated and more informed about what they're doing with their bodies and with their minds. Really, 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 I feel very strongly about that. And I really want to start diving in that a little bit more. But that is not why I got on today. I got on today first and foremost because I miss you guys. And I just wanted to share some things with you that kind of connects to our health, but it's more in the terms of our mental capacity and how we think. And I want to start off by asking you a question. Have you ever had an internal conversation with yourself? Have you ever talked to yourself? Now, I know I have, and I still do. Okay, sometimes I just have to say it out loud so it makes sense. It's okay. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It's okay. But we also have internal conversations. And so the psychologists have termed that as self-talk. So it's when you provide yourself opinions and you evaluate what you're doing as you're doing it. And so we all do it. We all have self-talk. There is a script that we play in our minds all the time. And so what I want to talk about is being aware of your self-talk and how you can go from negative to positive. Because believe it or not, research has shown that the majority of our self-talk is negative. The majority of our self-talk is negative. And what you tell yourself, what you say to yourself, shapes your decisions. And your decisions shape what you experience. And what you experience shapes how you live. Okay, I'll say it again. What you tell yourself, your self-talk, shapes your decisions. Your decisions shape what you experience. And what you experience shape how you live. So this is important. It connects the dots in your life. When a person is optimistic and when they're positive in their self-talk, it has a reaffirming effect that is evident. Have you ever been around someone like that? They're so positive. Some people get annoyed when people are positive, which are, because they're suspicious or whatever. But most people like to be around positive folks. I know I do, okay? I most certainly do. So when a person is optimistic and positive in their self-talk most of the time, because our self-talk can be negative, right? Majority of the time, as research has shown, that person becomes really, really, really productive. Now, on the other hand, when a person's self-talk is negative or pessimistic or overly critical of themselves, then the effects on that person's life is absolutely crippling. It is paralyzing. Now, what happens when your talking becomes negative is you count yourself out, and so you start to believe that you shouldn't even try. Like, why bother trying? I'm gonna mess up anyway. Or why should I put myself out there? I'm just gonna be rejected anyways. I've been rejected in the past. I'll be rejected again. And so what happens is people tend to draw back, and they become trapped and imprisoned by their own doubts and their own insecurities and their own uncertainty. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say, for example, that you go to a fashion show with your friends, and you got an invitation. You really didn't know what to expect. You'd never been to a fashion show before. And you thought, oh, you know what? Seems like it could be fun. I'll go. And it's you and a bunch of your friends, and you're looking at the fashions, and you don't like them. they they don't look nice to you. And so afterwards, you guys go out to eat, and you're having a conversation, and everyone's raving about how beautiful these clothes are, and you're sitting there thinking, oh boy, I really hope that I'm not asked the question, because I don't really want to engage in this way. And lo and behold, someone says, hey, what do you think about the fact this was your first time going? What do you think about the show? And you answer, oh, I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the company I was with. I had a good time. Well, what do you think about some of the clothes you saw? Weren't they really nice? Then you answer honestly, and you say, no. And so now everyone gets silent, because it's completely opposite of what everyone's been saying. And immediately you start the self-talk. Remember, it's evaluating what you're doing while you're doing it. So immediately you get that self-talk. Now, if the self-talk is negative, you'll start to say things like, oh gosh, why did I say anything? I should have just said nothing. Why did I open my mouth? They're going to think I'm nuts that I don't agree with them. They're going to think something's wrong with me, that I don't think that this stuff is pretty. They're going to think I sound dumb and ignorant, like I don't know what I'm talking about, that I don't know fashion. So again, these are thoughts that are playing in your head in real time while you're sitting there looking at everybody, and as they are being very silent, because that awkward silence can be very uncomfortable, especially when you say something that other people are not going to understand or not going to agree with. And so it goes back again. What you tell yourself will shape your decisions. And so now if I'm talking negative about that decision, now I'm going to start to second guess myself. Now I'm going to start walking down this self-doubt, overly critical position, and I might start to get really nervous and panic. I might start trying to back talk, double talk, or I might start feeling really insecure. I might turn red. All these things are playing out externally because of the internal self-talk. That was a little example, but I hope that it helps you to see how self-talk impacts our physiological behavior, our body experiences, and even how we react and what we say, how we sit, how we gesture our bodies, whether we fight or flight. All of that plays into our self-talk and what we tell ourselves. Now, self-talk can lead to also self-sabotage. Why? How can it lead to self-sabotage? Well, it leads to self-sabotage because you stop trying to put yourself out there, and also you walk away from opportunities that could help you. So if you go into a situation already telling yourself that it's going to be a negative experience, even if an opportunity opens up for you in that environment, you're less likely to engage, because you've already told yourself this is going to be a negative experience. This is going to be, this is going to be garbage. I know people aren't going to, I'm not going to like it. People aren't going to like me. They're not going to, already you've shut your mind down, and you've become mentally trapped, and you don't have the capacity to even recognize the good around you, because all you hear is the loud voices in your head speaking negatively. And so you become demotivated or desensitized, you disengage, and you avoid. Why do you avoid? You avoid because you don't want to be rejected. You avoid because you don't want to be misunderstood. You avoid because you don't want to feel the distress of the awkwardness or the uncomfortableness of not being understood. You avoid all of that. But let me ask you a question. Does that work in the long term? Does avoiding situations and avoiding doing what you know you should be doing work for you? Or does that leave you in a position where you're unfulfilled? Does that lead you in a position where you are isolated? Does that leave you in a position of success? Does that put you in a position to succeed? No. So now it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you said to yourself in your negative self-talk, this is not going to work. There's nothing good here. There's no opportunities here. And so you disengage. And then when you didn't get the opportunity, then you say to yourself, see, I was right. You see what I'm saying? You see how even as I'm talking it out, how it doesn't make sense. Negative self-talk will make you irrational. And it will shut down your capacity to be creative. Because if you already made up your mind how things are not going to happen, how things are not going to turn out, then you stop thinking solution oriented. You stop looking for a solution. You stop looking for answers. And you immediately embrace what you think is going to be the problem as the problem. And you look at it with a fixed mindset of things will never change. Now, there might be situations where things will not change and you have to remove yourself. But that's not based on what you said to yourself. It's based on what the environment is saying or what the people are doing and their actions. There's a difference between me saying, you know what, this is a very negative situation. It's a very harmful situation and I need to remove myself. That's different from saying to yourself before even knowing that a situation is negative and not even trying. There is a difference. I'm talking about letting your negative self-talk, which is based on doubts and insecurities and uncertainties, cloud you from seeing the reality of what's around you, missing opportunities and causing you to walk away from them and even disengaging and self-sabotaging because you are afraid that you will fail. So consequently, you don't even try. But in the end, you find it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it becomes a trap. It becomes a prison. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So let's go back to our example of the fashion show. Now let's just say that was me, right? And people are loving the fashions. Now I have several choices to make. I can choose not to answer. I could choose to say, you know, I really don't want to answer, which might create more questions because then people want to know, well, why don't you want to answer? Well, you know, or you can choose to answer. I choose to answer the question honestly, but again, it's how you word things. Again, we want to speak the truth in love. We want to treat people with respect and dignity. Now, I'm not going to be like, because this person put a lot of work into designing their fashions, and for them it's their life's work. And so I want, even though I don't like it, I don't want to discredit the person. Does that make sense? And so when I respond, I want to have that in my mind. So I don't want to be like, that stuff is garbage. I wouldn't use that to wash my dishes. There's nothing but a bunch of rags. Like, I wouldn't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Because that dishonors the fact that this person has worked really hard to do this and to present this. And it's very personal for them. It represents them, their fashion. It represents them in a sense. And so what I would say in a situation like that is, well, you know what, that style is just not for me. I didn't really see anything that I connected with, right? So I'm answering the question honestly, but I'm not demeaning the person who presented it. Okay? Now, a person who thinks positively, first of all, would answer like that, because they if they're thinking positively, if their self-talk is positive, then what comes out of their mouth will be positive, even if it is in direct opposition to everybody else. That's another sign of self-talk, of whether or not your self-talk is positive or negative, is how you phrase things. It reveals, you know, the Bible says that out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so our speech can betray us sometimes if we don't even realize it. So yes, I answered the question honestly. I basically said in a roundabout way, I did not like what I saw. Now, if I'm thinking positively, which I am because of the way I answered the question, my thought process is going to be, You know what? We're all different. We're all different. We all come from different walks of life. We all have different preferences. We all have different tastes. And there's no way that we can all share the same opinion. That doesn't even make sense. And secondly, I'm not a fashion expert, but I know what I like and I know what I don't like. I'm a fashion expert when it comes to Lori. Do you see the difference from before, when the negative person was saying things like, why did you say that? They're going to think you're nuts. You sounded dumb. You don't know anything about fashion. Now remember, think about it for a second. The negative self-talk was all about how they believed they were being perceived. The positive self-talk was about me understanding who I am and being comfortable with what I just said, because I said it respectfully and I said it in a positive way. It's a big difference. I hope you guys are getting this, because it's so important. It goes back to what I said. What you tell yourself shapes your decisions. Your decisions shape what you experience. And what you experience shapes how you live. It shapes your life. This is huge. It seems like a small little easy thing, but it's huge. You know, they have done, psychologists have done research, and they've tested different leaders and corporations, and to see, you know, how they would respond in a positive situation, in a negative situation. So in other words, they would give these people a task to do. And before they would do the task, they would write this letter. One letter was very affirming, saying, you know what, I believe you can do this. I believe you have what it takes. You have the ingenuity. You have the creativity to make this thing happen. And then the other letter that went to the other group was more or less like, you know, I'm really not sure if this is even for you. I don't even know if you're a good fit, but I don't really have anybody else to do this. So I guess I'll just have to turn to you. And, you know, if you mess up, we'll come in and clean it up. And they saw, obviously, you know the answer, that the person, the group that got the positive affirmation, that positive affirmation impacted their self-talk, and they performed significantly higher than the others. And they had a good attitude while doing it. While the other group, they got the job done, but it wasn't to the level of the positive group. And they weren't positive doing it. Okay? So it does matter. It does make sense. You know, it does. I hope it makes sense, I should say. It makes sense to me, at least. Now, another thing I want to talk about before I get off is tying into what I just shared about affirmations and reaffirmations. And one of the things that we have to remember is considering the source. And so there are ways that we can feed our positive self-talk, and there are ways we can strengthen our negative self-talk. And it is who is feeding you, because what you put in comes out. It goes back to, you know, healthy, eating healthy. If you eat healthy, or making a decision to eat healthy, if you eat healthy, then that means that you're going to have a healthier body. Why? Because you are giving your body what it needs to produce optimally. So if you are surrounded by people that are negative, they're going to only strengthen your negative self-talk. And so you have to consider your source. My father gave me some great advice. I was sharing it to someone on Sunday, and I'll share it with you. When I was younger, I used to always, well, not always, I don't want to make it sound like I was a complainer, but I would go to my father from time to time, and because people would say things to me that I believe wasn't true or was a misinterpretation of my intentions. And so my father would always say to me, well, Lori, have you considered the source? And it used to irritate me, because what I wanted was for him to be like, oh, poor you. You're so misunderstood. Nobody understands you. Why do people treat you? You know, I wanted him to feed my pity, but he did not. He wanted to empower me, because he was teaching me something that I was going to need as an adult. And so he would say to me, consider the source. And what does that mean? So when you are fellowshipping with people and going out with people and deciding who is going to be close to you and who's not, I need you to consider the source. I need you to consider who is speaking into your life. Who are they to you? What is your relationship with them? What have they done in your life that has been positive? How has their life produced in a positive manner? Are they trustworthy? Are they credible? Do they speak truthfully? Do they live as truthfully as they can? Do they live an example that you can follow? Do they model to you? Why are they in your life? Are they in your life because they believe in you? They want to invest in you. They want to be your champion. They're concerned about your future, as opposed to just being nosy and just wanting to know what's going on so they can blab it to other people or backstab you or be a hater, as they call. And how has their presence in your life helped you? Have they helped you to be a better person, the best version of yourself? Have they helped you to solve problems? Have they been direct in their communication with you, positive? Do you feel like your connection with them has strengthened you? Or do you feel attacked? Do you feel belittled? Do you feel like they attack your esteem and your worth and your value? Do they help you find balance? These are all things that are really important when you are going through life, because you want to not only be mindful of your thoughts and start to think positive, but you want to make sure that you have people in your life, sources in your life that will feed that positivity. So guys, that's it for now. I hope that what I said helped you, and be sure to share, be sure to like, be sure to follow, and hopefully I will try to get back on here on a regular basis so we can really dive into some topics that affect us, all of us. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.